I need to take care of myself and I need to do what's best for my family.
And so what does that look like?
Well, worst case scenario is we pack up all our stuff, put it in a storage unit, and go get a hotel or a homeless shelter, or just start going through the list and just find some place to stay.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, does your husband, does he have a job? So he's doing student teaching and you're in school full time?
I'm in school just part-time. I
Okay.
work. I have a full-time job right now, and I have 2 kids. They're twins,
Right.
a boy and a girl, and they're 3 years old. And my mom is working full-time, and then my dad is retired. He doesn't feel very comfortable being with kids very often. And so it's just a big shock to their systems,
Right.
because they've been empty nesters for a while, and then all of a sudden
So and then he has kids as well, so I'm sure not only does he not get along with your husband, but he also has a hard time with kids, so that makes it even worse. Or the family dynamic is a little bit more complicated with that as well. So with your given situation, are you able to afford an apartment, or is the homeless shelter something that you would have to go to?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, I just don't know what my options are. Like right now, like our money, it's so limited right now because I'm working. I only make $10.50 an hour. Jared doesn't have a job, and we've been living off of credit cards.
Right. Are there other ways that you've looked into assistance, perhaps?
I checked into subsidized housing. I'm going to get a list and start applying for those places there, and then see what happens. I know the waiting list tends to be long. There's a long waiting period, and I don't know how much longer my parents want us there. I know they want me to be okay, but I'm afraid with the tension being so high. I just don't want to ruin,
To add to that.
well, I just don't want my marriage to be ruined or just stressed to the point where it's like we can't even communicate because the tension's just so high.
Right. And I can tell that you're trying to make, changes in the right direction in terms of looking for other housing that meets your needs right now, because you know that you can't afford to live other places, but you're looking for ways in which you can look for. So that's a really good thing that you're doing, because a lot of people will continue to stay where they're at until they either get kicked out and have no place to go. But you're taking those positive steps in the right direction to where you need to be, and for your family, to make sure that your marriage is stable and that your kids are okay, and that also at the same time that your parents are okay. So you're making those steps in the right direction, and that's something that you should be proud of.
Yeah, I want us all to be happy, and whether or not we're living at the same place or not, I want us to all have a good relationship and for us to be happy for one another. But it seems like every time I try to do something for me and I want to do what's right, I get judged for it, or it's not good enough. And my dad, the issue I have with my dad is that he doesn't like my husband, and I love him. I love my husband, and for who he is, that's why I married him, and I have 2 kids by him. And he puts him down. He thinks he's not going to provide for us. He's going to be lazy and just sit around like his dad did. His dad was his dad was in the mafia.
Oh.
And he did drugs, alcohol, all this stuff, and so my dad didn't really have a dad that provided for his family. And so his mom was a single mom trying to work and provide for his family, and he doesn't want that to happen to me.
Right.
And so he doesn't want history to repeat himself. And I personally, when I was dating Jared, I was very cautious because of past relationships I've had that I've been really hurt. And so I want to, I just was very leery about it all until I saw how Jared treated his family and how he treated his niece, and just watching him and his actions with that. Over time, I knew that, okay, he's going to be okay. I didn't see any red flags like I did with the other ones. I learned from those poor relationships, and so I really want to things to work out, and I know Jared will do everything he can to work hard. I mean, he's taken 17 credits and work a night shift, and this is all, and being a parent too. And so I'm like, for my dad to say that he's not a hard worker and not wanting to provide for his family, how can you say that when you haven't even really given him a chance, when we all have to start somewhere?
Right, and I can tell that really frustrates you, because this is the man that you obviously love, and you know, I can, you know, looking back and you talking about your prior relationships, for you to find this person, I can tell that that's something that you're really passionate about, and making sure that he's okay, because he's making sure that you're okay, and that's something I feel like maybe you've never had in your prior relationships to this extent, obviously because you're married to him, but like, have you talked to your dad about this and like sat down and actually had a conversation with him, or what does that look like to do that if you haven't?
To talk, so you're saying to...
Have you talked to him first of all, and then if you haven't, like, is that an option for you?
I did talk to my dad, actually. I talked to him when Jared was home, and he basically said that he doesn't trust him, and he believes that we're taking advantage of the situation by us, like, living here, and we're living there for free right now. And so he said that we're taking advantage of him, and I told him, it's like, I feel like we're not taking advantage of you. We're trying everything we can to get back on our feet, and you have the right to feel that way, that you don't trust them for whatever reason. And then I was upset about that, and then later that night he called and said, I'm sorry, I have a few misconceptions about him and stuff like that, but at the same time the words were already said and the damage was already done. Because I told him, I was like, if you don't trust my husband, then you don't trust me. And I could tell, just because I'm married to him, he treats me differently than what he did before. Whereas with my brother, he actually he's moved back in to my family as well. So we have a full house right now. We have my mom and my dad, then me and the kids, and then my brother too. And so here it is, if they've gone to an empty house too.
It gets pretty chaotic, yeah. Yeah. So that being said, and I know you've looked into housing, is there any other thing that you've thought about doing in terms of maybe living with another relative or with another friend, or?
Jared has his family in Shelbyville, and that's a whole nother issue too, because he doesn't like, Jared doesn't like his dad at all, and his dad has turned back, I guess, to alcohol, wanting to drink and stuff, and he is, right now his place actually has room for us, but at the same time, it's like we feel like we can't even go there either, because we don't want our kids to be around the alcohol and stuff like that. And so that would just be an awkward situation. And so really we don't have like any other family we can really turn to. It's either like my family or his dad's, pretty much. His mom actually lives here as well too, but she only has a 2-bedroom apartment, and she has her son living with her. Jeffrey kind of goes back and forth between his mom's and his dad's in terms of where he lives. He's already graduated high school and stuff too.
So with that being said, how does that look for your children? How is all of this affecting them? Or is it, like, how old are they again?
They're 3.
Okay, now, do you see it affecting them right now?
Right now, I feel like they've adjusted to everything. I feel like they're doing okay. At the beginning, when we first came to live with them, I could tell they didn't like it there. They had a really hard time with it. Now they just, when they throw their tantrums, per se, they'll scream for daddy, I want daddy, or there have been times where they said, where's daddy, and it's really hard when they want their daddy, and I'm like, he's in Idaho, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And how long has he been gone again?
Since September.
Okay, so when he comes back, then they'll be pretty excited. When is he coming back?
Probably Christmas
Time. So that'll be a good gift for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but I imagine it must be hard for you to deal with this all pretty much, on your own right now. Is he calling you and checking in on you, making sure things are going okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk almost every day, or we'll text each other, and then we'll do Skype, and the kids like that. Sometimes they don't want to even talk to them. They're distracted, and they just want to play and stuff, but they do. That's what we do. We use Skype and talk on the phone.
Well, that's a good way to stay connected even though he's gone. I know it must be hard for you to deal with all this by yourself, but you're using those resources to be able to stay connected with him, so that's good. And so, like, is there anything else that's adding to your stress? Like, how is school affecting the dynamic at home?
School it's pretty fine. I'm just taking the one class and just once a week, and I love my class. It's fun. I learn a lot from it, and just works pretty good too. It's just my biggest stress is when I come home
Situation.
and it's all awkward, especially I'm just really just apprehensive when Jared comes home, what's going to
happen,
what's the dynamics are going to be, and then trying to find out like where we're going to live and if you can get a job. And
now, is the house relatively big?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a 3-bedroom house with a bonus room like upstairs. It's kind of like a loft. Is
that where you guys stay then?
We don't. We actually, like, my parents' room is over here, and then you go down the hallway, and then my room is here, and then the kids' room is right here, and then, like, there's, like, a little dining room here, and then a living room, and then the kitchen.
Okay, so you guys are pretty close then in quarters? How is that extra room being used?
That's my brother's.
Okay.
And that's upstairs, and it's just that 1 bedroom.
Okay, so he's not willing to switch things around so that way you guys kind of have a separate space, or are you not wanting that?
Well, we chose the rooms that we did because, first off, I don't think a king-size bed would actually fit upstairs, how it goes up there. And then the other thing is we're also potty training my twins right now. And so we are, like, basically right across the hall from my kids' room. And so that's just makes it where they can find us and we know exactly where they're at.
So there's no way to get a little bit more privacy from that situation?
No, it's kind of an open floor plan. There's not really like a basement where we could just go downstairs and have our own, like, place per se.
Right. Now, I know that there's a lot of different dynamics going on in terms of the household situation. Your dad is, kind of butting heads with your husband, and so that frustrates you. Have you thought about, and I know you said you've talked a little bit briefly and your dad did apologize to you. Are you willing to take that apology to heart, or do you think that's still part of you not, saying, okay, well, you won't ever trust me, you won't ever do this? Do you think that's hindering you from developing, or is he still acting in ways that are making you think that he didn't really mean what he said?
No, I know he meant.
You know that he meant he was sorry?
Well, I know he said he was sorry, but at that time I was still very hurt. I wasn't ready to forgive him, but now since time has gone by, I feel like I have forgiven him, but at the same time it still hurts just knowing the situation, because my parents, they didn't really want me to marry Jared in the first place, but I told them, like, I've